speechless. Seriously, when I read the item and talk to the city attorney, I didn't know that, and this is not in my character to actually sell the health of my constituent for specifically for $1 million.
With that
From
cheap,
what I
huh?
understand, I think that's why we consult so many, talk to so many consultants, so many scientists to come to an agreement. I know, as Mr. Rowland mentioned earlier, different scientists has different finding and different opinion. But yet again, we were not satisfied with one scientist. We bring about 3 of them come before us, and I'm hoping that they're not playing with their license, and those are the people that I think that should be trustworthy. One, I can understand that you have doubt. Two, maybe, but 3 come before you and giving you their opinion almost the same. I think there is something that's need to be considered. If it was money involved, and I wouldn't voted for something that, in order for the developer to even put the dirt in a different position to pay for it, I would not vote for it. But tonight, I will support it just because that I know all of us wants Biscayne Landing to move on. I think I was one of those member that up here fight, discuss it, says that was not fair, we shouldn't go move on. I move it to the next council meeting for us to have a chance to decide it, to discuss it with the scientists of the city attorney and city manager. But tonight, I am not supporting this item because of the $1 million. I can care less about the $1 million. I am supporting it because that I feel that it's more than people's health. There was a time that Biscayne Landing was always Biscayne Landing. I have been sitting here for the past 9 years. A lot of us supported Biscayne Landing. A lot of you in the audience supported Biscayne Landing. This is no different dirt, dust. Some of you would support Biscayne Landing. So don't tell me about people's health. If it was people's health, trust me, I will not be one of those people that would support it. It's more than that. Tonight I'm going to support it because that we have professional that I trust, that you guys should be trusted as well if it was other things or other reasons. So I'm going to vote for it. If it passed, so be it. But remember, Biscayne Landing not going anywhere. With this council, the next council, or the next council, we're still going to have Biscayne Landing, and we're going to have to deal with it. So God bless you guys. I'm here waiting to vote.
Thank you. How long did the yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, and we're going to vote on tab G about the settlement with Olita Partners. And by reading the agreement or the settlement, it's look like one of the main point, it's the money. I don't see the interest of the city in that settlement. It looks like this is what Olita Partners want, and they have it all in exchange to $1 million. And I don't think we should consider that discussing 2 items, because tab G is 1 item and tab H is a complete different item. Tab G is to settle. We're not going to go to court anymore. And tab H is about the removal of the soil. 2 different items, and I'm happy that the mayor see that and make it 2 separate items. And I think we should discuss about the first item, then after that discussion about the second item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. When we are living in a city with 60,000 plus residents, where over 40% of the residents are out of work, when Biscayne Landing came to this community a couple years back, many of you campaigned to promise the citizens of this city that you were going to give them jobs. Biscayne lending came and left. Many things were promised to this community, to this city, that were not kept. But yet, they came back. Again, same promises were made. Not only we made promise, but we even budget. The city's budget was based on the money of Biscayne lending. I understand the politics that are being played tonight, or that have been being played with the Biscayne lending things. And the fact that sometimes the people from Biscayne lending are trying to cut corners, which I don't think is right, because if it's really development that they're thinking about, this project should have been off the ground long time ago. We're still in stage one. We are still questioning left and right what's happening. We still have local preference that is not respected yet, that we would like to see moving. We keep promising people for work, mothers, fathers, children that are waiting for them to get out of the line of unemployment for them to be able to work. Everybody keeps saying Biscayne lending, Biscayne lending. When is Biscayne lending going to take off? I was, during the month of November, I was able to see another developments in North Miami Beach that have started way after us. And the first buildings are already sold out. Coming up, the second one is 3/4 sold. They have not started to build yet. So which means we are doing something wrong. Either we are too good in politics, or we are there are too many demagogues in the city that prevents things to go on. We need to be clear in which direction we would like the city to go. Do we want to stay doing politics as usual? Do we want to impress some people when they come here to show them that we are on their side, when, in fact, we are stabbing them? We are preventing them from moving forward. I think it's important for us to go forward, especially if we have other projects coming for this city. We're talking about the downtown North Miami. Some people, whether they like it or not, we're going to take off. We're going to move with the entire residents. Those who don't want to move forward, they can stay behind. It's okay. But all I'm asking you is, do not try to stop the progress of this city. Because we are passing. The city will stay. And whatever we are going to create, whatever we are going to realize in this city, will be forever and forever. It's this council, it's these people, it's these ones who have made it. I remember when we went to Fort Myers, the residents of Fort Myers were against the downtown. 99% of the people who were against it, now they're the ones who are talking about it and taking pride of it. And the same thing is happening. Some people are just afraid of thinking out of the box. Or some people just want to say no just because. Not because they have anything tangible, not because they have a real reason, just because they want to be superstars. And that's not, when you're dealing with 60,000 plus residents, it cannot be a superstar contest. It cannot be about ourselves. It has to be about this city. It's about moving this city forward. And I'm hoping that all of you that are here tonight understand the necessity for us to move forward. Because if you don't understand it, your children will. And they will question you. And I'm hoping that you will be able to be adult enough to tell them, well, we didn't know, we were afraid, or we didn't understand, or we just didn't, No. Why not? And this is why I believe we need to move on, not only with the Biscayne lending, but also with the downtown. We have had many investors who have showed up last week in the city. They were visiting, they're ready to invest. They're ready to help us move this city forward. Again, I'm inviting all of you to be part of history. We are going to make history in this city. And those of you who don't want, I'm just begging you not to prevent history from happening. Because whether you're on this side of the fence or that side of the fence, you know what? We will keep going forward. Can you please read, Mr. Clerk, the motion, and then,
Motion was made by Councilwoman Steril to approve item G, and it was seconded by Mayor Thundro. Would you like a roll call vote, Mayor?
yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Keys.
No.
Vice Mayor Galvin.
No.
Mayor Thundro.
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril.
Yes.
Councilman Bieneme.
No.
Item fails 3-2.
Tab H. Let me ask you this too. We're going to ask Biscayne Landing to remove the soil completely. Okay. No, I'm just asking, telling the city attorney
I'm sorry.
to remove it totally, completely, for them to come up with new soil, a new item. Finish, capiche. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Tab H, Mayor. Tab H, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing Olita Partners LLC to use approximately 194,000 cubic yards of fill material from the Brickell City Centra, currently stockpiled on the premises commonly referred to as the Biscayne Landing Site, in accordance with the Miami-Dade County Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources, DERM, July 17, 2013 letter, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
I move the item, Madam Mayor.
I'll second it. Public hearing is open.
Yes, William Previtel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. If I may, before the clock starts, may I just touch on something from the last to try to provide some clarification regarding the water table, which people are concerned about. And this is throwing a bone to the developers, actually. If from the ground plane, the Biscayne Avenue, Biscayne Boulevard perspective, if you want to call that zero, and that being the water table approximately, Biscayne Landing site is really about 20 feet above that. So it's very unlikely that the water table is going to all of a sudden rise up into this plateau area and contaminate from below. So I'm sort of throwing them that bone. That's very unlikely to happen.
Well, we know
However-
that, but it's okay.
Oh,
Go
right.
ahead
So
with your,
it's very-
with your.
you would have to have like a tsunami come in and flood the entire area to sort of raise that water table.
We understand the
On
politics,
the other
trust me.
hand, if you are saying, and this is sort of against that, if you're saying that you're going to use contaminated soil below the roadbed, well, if you were to say, oh, we're going to have, the roadbed is 50 feet wide, we have soil 50 feet wide and 10 feet deep, that's going to get contaminated. As the water comes in from above and washes out on the side of the road, it goes underneath, and it doesn't go straight down like an exact line and stays exactly where it should. No, it leaches to the side, probably at a 45-degree angle, depending on the porosity of the soil, maybe even more, and it will collect that. So you would need to contain these materials, contaminated materials, under the roadbed like a triangle to some degree for it not to contaminate the area. Furthermore, if you were to use it under larger surfaces, larger areas such as under the large buildings, under the retail, where it's very wide, you have a much less chance of it being contaminated. When the buildings are up on the plateau and when they're very far away for any water leaching in. So just some considerations. The other thought was, might we consider, if we're worried about the health, and we are all worried about the health, maybe there should be a bond. I believe, and they could contest my figure, I believe there's $10 million in contention here. That would cost them at least $10 million to get rid of this fill and bring another fill. So you have a lot of room to work. And if it costs $1 or $2 million to get a $10 or $20 million bond to assure the safety,
We're done
maybe
with
that
this
should go
subject,
on.
sir. Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
We're done with this subject. He's not coming back up. Mr. Wallen.
I just wanted to ask the city clerk to hand these out to the members of the council.
I want you guys to make this a habit, okay, Frank? Giving me extra work? Nah.
Thank you. I'll speak within the time limit, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank you, Mayor, because I share your interest in getting the project moving. As it happens, these contracts don't say when they're going to build anything. They don't say how many people they're going to employ and when they're going to start employing them. But I do hope they start it soon and hope they remove the material. The project manager, Mr. Celestin, testified before this body. He said the roofs on the sites of the houses adjoining the site were white from this material blowing on to those people's properties. It's tiny and it weighs nothing and it is dangerous. The scientist, his study doesn't address that. He says, in answer to my question, we didn't do any air monitoring. So I'm just here to say, you've got in this agenda item 10, it says, within 45 days, the city with the leaders' input will organize an educational campaign, including town hall meetings and outreach to properly educate residents and stakeholders regarding the allowable uses of the fill. You know what? They shouldn't use dirty fill. They shouldn't bring it on our site. They should take it off, and they should full speed ahead build the project they promised to build and employ the people they promised to employ with no more delays, and I'm all for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road. I'm here on behalf of the Sans Souci Homeowners Association, in which this matter was discussed. And the consensus was that the city should err on the side of safety, because it is unknown what could happen generations from now. And I agree with your philosophy, Madam Mayor, about the future, but I disagree, at least as far as the Sans Souci homeowners are concerned, about what kind of legacy we would leave if we left contaminated fill. As you can see from current events, parks are being closed where things have erupted, so to speak. I do not know by what reasoning the contaminated soil was brought, but it seemed that it did come rather soon after the conditional use permit was approved. So I would just give you the thoughts of some of your constituents who themselves studied the matter of the soil and didn't find that it was beneficial. It may be profitable, it may be expedient, but it was their view that we should look forward to the future health and safety, and you just don't know. You just don't know. And as former Mayor Wallen said, the certain issues involving the soil were not studied. So you don't have the answers. You don't have the answers to the salient questions about what that would mean to the future of the city, the future generations of children, and future adults.
Thank you. So if I understand very well, those scientists that have conducted studies on the field have no say-so, which means they went to school over nothing, because it seems like they don't know what they're talking about. And it's sad. It is sad. I've met with the new mayor from Sonny Isle, Bay Harbor. He's also a scientist, and we were discussing this the other day at FIU. And, again, one more scientist is saying it's not what we're saying it is. So, I don't know.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. As Mayor Wallen will tell you, I don't very often agree with him. But this but this is something I agree with him very wholeheartedly, 100%. So please pay attention. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Today is your lucky day, Frank.
Dr. J. Weinstein, 2273 Bayview Lane. I'm not real informed about this issue, but I know this much. We have a contaminated site to begin with, and now we have more contamination going on top of it. Many of our constituents, many of our citizens in North Miami come from a country that is horribly polluted, and they came here to have a better life. Now, if you think thinking out of the box is putting more contaminated soil on top of a toxic waste dump.
Who are the residents you're talking about, doctor?
I'm talking about our Haitian citizens.
Oh, there's a lot of pollutions in Haiti?
Isn't there?
Really?
Is there not
You're teaching me, I don't know.
Was there not a...
You are teaching me, sir.
Was there not an epidemic of cholera? Was there
that's
was
pollution?
not a removal of all the trees so that the water gets washed out and there's erosion? And would you say that Haiti is a great example of environmental protection?
No,
I
sir.
wouldn't.
What I'm
and
saying, but I would not
say-
stand here and speak on behalf of citizens about a country that you probably have never been to and maybe not understand half of it.
Well,
but go ahead. You can go ahead and make your
I
point.
probably understand less than half.
Okay, so please
But I
do not take
but-
Haiti as an example. But
Well,
go ahead and make your point,
It's
sir.
not the only country
Go ahead and
that's
make your point, sir.
contaminated.
Go ahead and make your
Very
point.
simple point. We have a contaminated waste dump to begin with, and we're putting questionable soil on top of it. I really don't see the logic in it. That's my point.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Please, next time, use another country as an example.
All right.
Thanks.
The Ukraine. What difference does it make? Many of our citizens are from Haiti, and they understand what a polluted environment is like. And I
No.
don't think they want...
Cholera is not made by pollution. As a doctor, you should know that
I
cholera
don't think they want...
cholera is not made by pollution, and you know. And you should know better than that. You're a doctor. You know what cholera is. Nothing to do with pollution, doc. Nothing to do with pollution.
Didn't pollute the water?
You don't understand. Cholera is not made, people don't get cholera from pollution, and cholera was brought in Haiti by the UN, and you know better than that. Thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you. Do I hear a motion? I'm sorry, we had a motion already. Discussion, Madam Keys.
Is the public hearing closed?
Yes, it is.
Everybody-
You want to talk or you don't want to talk?
I would like to. I didn't hear public hearing closed. Yes, I would. We have brought in, and I don't fault the developer for bringing in this material, but there were 9,700 truckloads of this material brought in from the city center. And looking at the data that was provided, 30% of it was the cement grout. 8.6% of the grout is Hansen slag. That equates to about 255 truckloads of Hansen slag, which is a contaminated material, is sitting out there on Biscayne Landing. There is no guarantee if we put this under the road that it will all end up under the road. You've got 9,700 truckloads being transported. What if one of them just kind of happens to slip in the lake, gets messed up? There's no guarantee. Mr. Teef, I believe, says that this material will have to be maintained for the future. As Mayor Wallen said, this is not going away. It will have to be maintained in perpetuity. And who is going to watch this? We talk about protection of our citizens. I believe in that sheet that Mr. Wallen, Mayor Wallen was reading, I have the same sheet, and there does appear to be silica in this material. It is an airborne hazardous material. It is cancerous. We are allowing our citizens, we want our citizens to get jobs. Are we going to tell them that they are transporting 9,700 truckloads of this airborne cancerous material, and they're spreading it on the roads, they're molding it, they're forming it, and do we really care about our citizens and the rest of the people that will be moving these 9,700 truckloads on top of until it is buried? What is going to happen to those people? And we will not know that for years. Being a representative and a spokesperson for 2 waterfront communities, they've spoken outside of this council. They've come here this evening, and I appreciate your attendance. I have not heard anyone here saying that they want to keep this material on the property. And as their spokesman, I need to protect the future of our children, our bay, our citizens play in this water. There is no telling. This site is right next to the aquifer. It is right next to the canal that flows right into Keystone Point. It flows into our bay. That is our water. That is the last stand of natural mangroves. I would not want to take a chance in polluting our bay for the rest of, I won't be here, but our children, where our grandchildren will be.
Mr. Galvin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I still intend to vote no. That's all I have to say.
Councilwoman Steril? Mr. Bien-Aimé?
No.
Mr. Clerk?
We're voting on tab H. It was moved by Councilwoman Steril, seconded by Mayor Thundro, and this is for approval. Mayor Thundro.
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Galvin.
No.
Councilwoman Keys.
No.
Councilman Bienemere.
No.
Item fails 3-2.
Thank you. Before you go to the next item, Mr. Manager, where's the city manager?
He went to the restroom.
Okay. So let's go into recess.
Mayor, before we recess, I just wanted to clarify one quick point. I just pulled this up, and just for the record, for the gentleman who spoke earlier about the pollution in Haiti, the U.S. ranks as the 10th most polluted country, 88 times more than Haiti. I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Good day.
The mayor, the manager.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
We're gonna go on recess after that. I would like to instruct you that we ask the people from Biscayne Landing to remove the soil. Period. All right, we're gonna go into recess. 5 minutes. 5
Mayor,
minutes recess.
let me just say that is already underway.
Very good.
We have already sent 2 letters in January, and the lease agreement already has the process on a perceived default that the city would have to follow those procedures.
Okay, so if they want to build the road, they have to bring clean soil, and then we come back with that. 5 minutes. 5-minute recess, please. You didn't need to do that. We know the guy was trying to be cocky.
The science is simple. The U.S. ranks as the 10th most polluted country. Tab I, proposed ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 5 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Building Standards and Regulations to include provisions for maintenance of property, landscaping, walls, fence, and exterior property areas, creating a landlord registration program, and providing for the relocation of Article Roman numeral 7 entitled Abandoned Real Property Registration to Chapter 12 of the Code of Ordinances, providing for repeal, conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Public hearing is open on tab I.
Mayor, members of the council, Kenneth Each, 776 Northeast 125th Street. I am a landlord, and I am in favor of this ordinance with a few modifications. I think it's a long time overdue. As I said at the workshop a few days ago, slumlords have taken control, and it's time to put them out of business. They're both purveyors of misery and degradation. Getting to the point, Mayor, what I would suggest on 5-42 of this ordinance is that we inspect prior to renting. Okay, this is either or. We inspect prior to renting. The other thing I would also suggest to this council, very respectfully, is that we do not exclude single-family residents or duplexes. They should be inspected. What's to stop me from coming in, buying a bunch of single-family homes, not improving them, and we just changed the whole characteristic of that house. That became a business. And they should be subject to the same rules and regulations that I am as a unit. I own 3 units. I have 4 apartments in each unit. They should be subject to the same guidance. When you rent a house, I mean, some of our slumlords own single-family homes.
As well, yes.
They do, and they should not be exempt. They should have a use permit and an occupational license, just like I have to have. And I go back to section 5-42. Let me just give you an example, if I may. I have beautiful places. What's to stop, say I have a problem with a tenant, and he decides he's going to destroy my place, call the city and say, hey, I'm giving him a substandard apartment to live in. I have no recourse. I have absolutely no recourse. This way, if you inspected my place prior to me renting it like we did in Bolingbrook, you would come in and say, hey, this apartment's A-OK, blah, blah, blah. You check it out. You're looking for life, safety, and health. The floor is good. The windows are good, so forth and so on. Everything's in operational orders. But when you don't do that, you know, I've had bad tenants, too, that I threw out. You know, and then they can actually destroy your place. So what you're doing is you're giving the landlord a little bit of protection too. But when if the place is substandard, we shouldn't rent it, and that's what we did in Bolingbrook. No ifs, ands, and buts. Inspect before you rent, and we have a rental permit. The other thing I would say is, let's standardize the rental signs. We'll have a city permit on that, a welcome package. And you know, we say, well, we don't have enough people to do this. I brought this up at the workshop. We can train our community-based police officers, we can train our code enforcement officers, we can train our public service officers, and we can inspect them. I mean, and that's my suggestion. I mean, I'm in favor of this ordinance.
Thank you.
And I thank you, Mayor, and I thank the council for, and especially our city attorney for putting this together. One more thing, Mayor, you're talking about a fee. If you come in and give me a rental inspection, I gladly pay you $50. But now if you're going to come back every year and check my apartment out, that wouldn't be right, because now you're giving me, you know, I'm going to be paying you a heck of a lot of money. If you want to come back and check my building every year, maybe $10, $20, you know.
Mr. Ish, don't invite me to do so, because I got invited yesterday. It didn't turn out good.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
City manager would understand what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Don't invite me to inspect those houses, because I got invited yesterday and it did not turn out very good.
Oh, no, I agree with you on this. I've been pushing, Mayor, you can ask the Councilman Galvin, our city attorney. I've been pushing for this ordinance for years. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, it's there. Yes, Madam Blinn.
Hi. Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road. Inspections are good. Raising standards are good. At the same time, the things that were already in place have not been attended to properly. I'm sure this will echo with people who sat on the council or sat in the audience. Foreclosures on code violation liens. I'm sure there was a former council member that every week of a council meeting would ask, how are we doing on collecting funds? How are we doing on foreclosing on liens? In conjunction with what is already there, if it's not onerous for those who are compliant, that's one thing. But if you look at something as atrocious as what happened here, with the roof falling in and people being displaced and possibly hurt and their property destroyed by a known violator. It didn't just happen because he had to wait 6 weeks for his roofing permit. Come on. Those properties are hideous. Mm-hmm. Hideous. They're notorious.
Yep.
Notorious in the city and in the county. I've actually gone to attorneys that used to represent that gentleman who couldn't take it when they actually were invited to inspect one of those units.
It's all about money.
And so I say, before, I mean, you can do it in conjunction with, but I admonish the council and the staff to pursue vigorously their foreclosure on liens and their inspection and enforcement of code violators, because we have them of the magnitude that I think was pictured by Councilman Galvin in one of his memos to the citizenry. Thank you.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I'll try to be brief. I do second everything that former Police Chief Each has said. And for the record, may I point out that I have had the opportunity to take a tour of his properties, and they are superior, wonderful habitats for a living, so he has nothing to worry about. But it would benefit everybody if the inspections could take place early on when the apartments are vacant, because that's really when they are their best. I just had a resident who'd been in for about 4 years, and upon leaving and trying to get the furniture out, massive holes in the walls and other things left behind. That was not there the week before leaving. Maybe it's because the gentleman was a professional mover. that everything got damaged. But I am in support of this. I really hope that the city will be able to concentrate the workforce towards those most problematic areas, because there really are some serious concerns here in the city, and those need to be resolved for the benefit of everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Ilana Baroni Burdick. I live at 13502 Northeast 24th Place.
Where have you been? You. You.
Been around.
Not seen you since I've been elected.
Taking care of
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And sitting here thinking and reading about this ordinance, I heard Kenny H. talk about it last time I was here, which was a while ago. I'm the New York City transplant, and in thinking about my family history, we go back 50 years in renting properties, apartment buildings, from my grandparents to my parents, and now me and my sister. In that span of time, we have dealt with rent control, rent stabilization, and fair market rent. A lot of reasons my parents left New York City is because the paperwork was massive. When you're talking about inspecting apartments here, when I turn over an apartment, you can eat off the floor, literally. And code enforcement will tell you. When I sat on the code enforcement board, I saw pictures of what, Scott, what you had sent, of the deplorable conditions of what some people have to live in. I could not go to bed if I were a landlord like that. I was not raised or taught to be a landlord like that. All my costs are going up. I think that I'm one of the better landlords, as I think Kenny is. Water prices are gone up, even my conserving water. Insurance rates have gone up. Maintaining the building has gone up. I don't wait for something to break down. If somebody says it's going to, I'm on it right away. Redecorating, updoing everything. And there are other inspections that we have. Minimum housing comes through. I have other inspectors come through. I don't pay for those inspections. But if you're going to ask me now to pay for my apartments to be inspected each time I have a turnover, I have one apartment in the building that's Section 8. And the only reason we allowed it is because we like the tenant. And they have Section 8 housing inspection comes once a year, and the tenant deals with that. I done my work, the apartment's up to above standard. So, and I don't pay for that. Maybe it comes out of our taxes somewhere, I don't know. I'm concerned because there's an old expression, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. In trying to deal with landlords who are slum landlords who don't deal, they want to take the money and run, I think the rest of us may get penalized. I hope there's something that can be done so that I don't get penalized for working hard to keep things in AAA condition. So if part of that, some of it I agree with it, some of it I don't, please don't charge anymore. It's tight as it is with all of the, I have a whole wall full of license, occupational, hotel, the whole thing that I have to pay for the city, county, whatever. I do it because it's required. But this would be adding another layer. So if there's some way you could work on something, I'd appreciate it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Annie Montgomery, 2082 Laurel Lane. I think I stated at the workshop that I don't own any units in North Miami. I did several years ago in North Miami Beach, and they were really a heartbreaker. You had to go in and clean up after tenants each time they moved out, and my husband was not up to that. I see 4 maybe landlords here on apartments. I think there are many more landlords in this city. And just a suggestion that maybe our city could notify all these landlords before the second reading that what we're doing, because people do not pay attention, as we all know, so that they could come and speak. I'm sure there are some of those that are not desirable landlords, but they should be made aware of what we're doing. I did see the pictures that Scott Galvin put online, Councilman Galvin, and why didn't the tenants complain? How could somebody live in that for that length of time and not complain? So that makes me question, it's not always the landlord. It's many times the tenant that they just, that's the way they want to live, or they are afraid of getting the rent raised, or I don't know what. But just to look at those and think that somebody was living in that condition, I would say, why didn't they call the landlord? Why didn't they call the city? Why didn't they call the police? Why didn't they call the health department? So many things. So that's just a suggestion. The landlord should be notified. Our city knows who those landlords are. And this is a first reading, so on this, before the second reading, I think maybe our council or our city manager could do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing is now closed. Madam Attorney, what would be the procedure to let the landlords know the changes in Chapter 5?
I believe that staff has, I think they created some flyers or went door to door and went to some buildings to advise the landlords. I'm going to allow Mr. Manager to better answer that question.
Yeah, my understanding, we had, the police department does have a list of all of the apartments. Our police and code went to those individuals to inform them. We also advertised the workshop that we had. As you know, some of the those individuals did attend.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Madame,
For discussion?
Madame Keys?
Yes, I'd like to thank our city attorney and staff. They have worked hours on putting together a pretty comprehensive ordinance. The tenants in our city definitely need protection. I believe it is our duty to make sure that the apartments are safe and habitable for the tenants. That being said, and I did go on a sweep last week, and the conditions were deplorable, just unbelievable. And I think by having these inspections, we will be able to go in and start citing people. And instead of just doing the minimum housing inspections of just the common elements, this will give us access to individual units. I have spoken to various landlords, and I don't believe they were aware of the workshop or this evening. So since we do have a second reading of this, I would like to see that they do get notice of this. Additionally, I think there's a misconception. I had a long discussion with our attorney today. I would like our attorney to explain the paragraph 5-42, which is the inspection. The original intention was not to have inspections every time a tenant moved in and out. It was an annual inspection for the units. If it was a larger property, it was only 30%. People were speaking at the workshop and were talking about the hardship of having to give notice to the city, waiting for someone to come in and actually inspect, and by that time they would lose the tenant. The tenant wouldn't be able to get in because basically the turnaround is a day or two after your credit check. The attorney has advised me that it is not, and Ms. Burdick, you also made that reference, the intention of this is not to have an inspection every time a tenant moves in. It's an annual inspection or before rental. So I want that to be made clear, that this is really an annual inspection of a select amount of units, and that every time you go out and have a new tenant, there will not be an inspection required. I think the enforcement of that would be impossible anyway. So I hope the Madam Attorney can address that and assure the people out there that it's not going to be every time you get a new tenant, you're going to have an inspection.
Mr. Galvin.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So the initial intention of this ordinance in terms of the inspection was actually to have a mechanism to ensure that prior to renting, the city would be able to go in and ensure that the space was safe and habitable and so forth. However, I think it's just feasibly impossible to know every time someone is going to be moving in and out of a unit, and just the logistical nightmare that would create for staff as well as for landlords in terms of the turnover and so forth. And so the idea of having an annual inspection was created to ensure that there's uniformity, that the city would, that the landlords and the tenants would know when the inspections were happening, and just to have some consistency. There was some conversations at the workshop that, you know, it's easier to inspect properties when they're empty versus when they're occupied. And if indeed a tenant has moved out prior to someone coming in, the city could go in and make sure to ensure that the landlord cleans up the property before someone comes in.
But we would
So-
have no way of knowing that.
Well, we would have no way of knowing that. So the language then was inserted to say, after receipt of a completed application and payment of the application and inspection fees, the city shall inspect the residential rental property and units prior to rental or annually. So that way, it's an annual inspection. If, for example, we know, like when we went to visit the 125th Street building, we know that there were units that were empty, we can go in and make sure that the unit is properly inspected before someone moves in. So it gives the city the added protection, it gives the tenants the added protection to know that before they're rented, if we know, because, you know, we would have to rely on an honor system if we just simply said prior to rental. And so now we have really the best of both worlds.
Thank you.
Mr. Galvin.
I applaud you, and I'm very happy to see this moving forward. Thank you for doing this and investing the time. I've heard the concerns of some of the landlords. Obviously, keep in mind, guys, you're the good ones. We're not after the good ones. It's the ones that let people live in horrible conditions we're more concerned about. I want to make sure I understand then correctly. If somebody rents an apartment and 3 months later the person just moves out for whatever reason, the inspection that had just been done 3 months prior to that is still good for another year, for another 9 months?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
I'm very comfortable with this. I'm excited that we're finally taking some steps in this direction. And again, I tip my hat to you if I was actually wearing a hat.
Thank you.
Madame Steele. Mr. Bien-Aimé. Thank you. Madam Attorney.
Ma'am.
No, I'm not you, really. It would be especially to our city manager. It's to answer the question that Madame Montgomery have brought when she made a thing. She said she couldn't understand why tenants accept to live in such condition, and they have not called the police or even the health department regarding this. Most of the apartments, they have first, last, and security when the people moves in, and the landlords usually they don't give them the security deposit back, and they don't fix those houses. But as you can see as well, they try to intimidate people. Last time when we had the town hall meeting here regarding the apartment buildings, you can see one of these owners started to talk about these people's personal life. Oh, they're always late paying their rent, and they're the one complaining, and blah, blah, blah. And this is the tactic also they use to intimidate tenants or use one tenant against another in order for them to keep doing it. It's just like a dictatorship. You have, what, one dictator with 10 million population, and you wonder how in the world can rule, one person can rule 10 million, they are more than he is. But it's the fear that they put among these people that prevent them from coming forward. And I think it was a very successful event when we had that workshop, to have so many people coming forward and talk. And as a consequence, yesterday, as I usually do with the city manager since I've been elected, I would put them in my car, drive through the city, and see what's wrong with the city, especially the buildings, the sidewalks, and so on and so forth. And this is something we've been talking about since my first day in office. City of Miami, Opaloka, 16,000 residents. they bring over $100,000 in fees from code enforcement. 60,000 residents in the city of North Miami. We're happy if we get 40,000. It's because I think we are too lenient with the owners of those buildings. We let them go in too far. That is why the building on Northeast 6th Avenue and 132nd collapsed the day after Christmas. That is why the ceiling on the apartment on 126 and 12 collapsed. It's because whenever there are things, I don't know if you see, I'm sure you pass by there each time you go home. There's a building on 135th and Biscayne Boulevard, the Spinnaker building. That building is dirty. There's mold, and it's like, this is something that everybody sees whenever you pass by there. How come nothing is being done? And same thing on 125th. This is almost okay compared to all the other things that we've seen yesterday as we went to do, we were just passing by and they're inviting us to go and see. I was not going to go to the landlord's office. I went to these people's apartment and knock on doors. He was not too happy, but this is what it is. And it is horrible. And when Mr. H talk about people who have houses, they do duplexes and single family homes, they do the same. They rent those things because people are in need of finding a place to live, and they give it to them just like that. Oven not working, rats, and it is a reality. And I am really hoping, city manager, that we are going to make the efforts. No more. If we give a citation to an apartment building for whichever reason, there should be a recap after 2 weeks. And we need to hit them. That's the way they get away. The building on 136 and 6th Avenue, 135th and 6th Avenue. It's a shame. And we can go on with the list. It goes on 145th and 6th Avenue. You go on and on and on wherever the buildings are on 16th Avenue. It's not right. We cannot allow our citizens to live this way. And I'm really counting on you to ensure that these people have decent living, and these slumlords, they understand what time it is today. Because this council here, it's a new way, a new life, a new time.
We have a motion and a second, Mayor.
Yes. Roll call, Mr.
Motion was made by Vice Mayor Galvin, second by Mayor Thundo. This is a motion to approve. Vice Mayor Galvin?
Oh, yes.
Mayor Thundro?
Yes.
Councilman Bienerman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sterriel? Yes. Item passes 5-0. Tab I. Discussion regarding funds identified for a feasibility study for the downtown redevelopment plan.
Move approval.
Second for discussion.
Okay. Mr. Manager.
As indicated, the request was for us to come back to identify funds. I had provided a memo dated February the 25th, articulating where funds have been identified by the budget office, and basically the North Bay Shore Park Pier was allotted $450,000 in the budget from Biscayne Landing funds. Staff had anticipated that those the expenditure or the cost for that would be more, thereby filing for a grant with the Florida Inland Navigation District for the rebalance. We were fortunate to get a $300,000 grant, so therefore, instead of using the entire $450,000, we would be matching that $300,000 grant with $300,000. That leaves a balance of $150,000, which is where we're recommending that those funds be secured from.
Okay, and how much would the feasibility study would cost?
I had requested $75,000.
Okay.
The feasibility study could be up to about 40-ish thousand. The remainder would be that in the event that the mayor and council would want to take the recommendation of that study, then we would have to go out and seek opportunities from various institutions to come back and give us a rate. So we wanted to reserve that in that amount.
Very good.
In the event the council does not like the feasibility study, then of course the rebalance of those funds would be available.
Thank you. So that would leave you with $75,000,
Yes.
which I think we should use to finally buy those outdoors equipment. I think Mr. Galvin have asked for $10,000 for your park, remember?
It's actually already in process.
You have the equipments?
It's already, I understand she's talking about, I believe she's talking about the exercise equipment at North Bay Shore Park. I understand via the Parks Department.
It's there yet?
It's not there yet, but I understand bids, or it's already on order or something like that. It came up.
Nope.
For North Bay Shore Park, not
Only,
for the,
not for all the parks.
Not all the parks. For
Right.
For North Bay Shore.
Right. That was
'Cause
the one. That was the one park that the Keystone homeowners 2 years ago had asked for equipment for. So that was the only one I was specifically interested in.
Okay, and at that time we were talking about putting outdoor equipments for all the parks, especially where people walk and run. Pepper Park, Enchanted Forest, the different parks where people run, we need to have outdoor equipments. And this money, the rest of that, the remaining $75,000, I would like to see equipments in all the parks. It's already in the Claude Pepper Park. We're having those tennis courts. We done. They are so beautiful. Congratulations. Thank you. Where is he? Where's Parks? Not there. He's outside. Okay. It's such a wonderful job. But again, when people are jogging, they don't have a place. You don't even know how many miles they do. They don't have. They can stretch. They use the fence to do bench press. I mean, it's. This is one thing I remember during the council meeting that we had talked about. I would like the remaining $75,000 go to buy outdoor equipments for those who wants to live in good health.
May I speak?
No, you spoke already.
I have.
Go ahead.
I did not speak. Taking my money. Okay, you have found last year from the Biscayne Landing funds, $1 million was allocated for special projects in both Districts 1, Councilman Galvin's district, and District 2, which is now my district. $1 million was of the Biscayne Landing funds was allocated to Councilwoman Sterrill's district for downtown development, which I don't believe she's used all of. This year, this council awarded $1.5 million to District 3, to Councilman Bieneme's district for improvements, beautification, etc. I feel I would be willing to give up $25,000 of the $150,000 that is left if Councilwoman Sterrill would come up with $25,000 from her downtown development fund, and Councilman Bieneme would give up $25,000 also from his $1 million towards this, as it is for the entire city. In the alternative, if you don't want to do that, then I would recommend that this money is a perfect, ideally suited for CRA funds. We have money in the CRA that is not allocated. We have $750,000 we just allocated, and there's additional money, and I would say $75,000 for this can come out of the CRA. I don't think it's fair to take the $75,000 from District 1 and District 2's funds. There may be additional money needed to continue the Bayshore Park Pier. District 1, my District 2 is in bad need of sidewalk improvement. There is really no money available for sidewalk improvement. The $100,000 that is in the CRA does not cover anything not in the CRA district, and I would like to change this where I offer $25,000 from what is left in the this $1 million grant, and the remaining
His money.
120.
That's not your money, that's his money.
It's our money. I'm speaking up for Councilman Galvin too because
No, let him speak for himself.
He
That's
can't.
his money.
Okay, it's his, so he can do what he
Okay,
wants.
so let him do what he wants with his
there's
money.
Well, actually, it was $600,000 for North Bay Shore Park. So basically, that's in my district. There's an extra $150,000. I would offer $25,000 towards a study, and I would like the remaining to go to sidewalks improvement in District 2, and I would be happy to share that with District 1 with Councilman Galvin.
Councilwoman Steele. You have nothing to say. Mr. Bieneme?
No.
Okay. So Mr. Galvin,
I want to let it be known that the downtown North Miami area is not in my district at all. That being said, I couldn't feel more strongly about a project. I was talking about revamping our downtown area before I was on council. That's how long ago.
that's why it's been collecting dust for so
right,
many
and
years.
So I'm glad to see it move forward. I'm sensitive to what Councilwoman Keys is saying with everybody need to kick in a little bit of money. But let's come back, if there's some discussion to be had on other places to come up with budget money for some sidewalks and things like that, I'm open to it. But since we've got $75,000 ready to go tonight for a feasibility study,
Yep.
let's rock it tonight, and
Yep.
let's come back with stuff that's actually agendized for the future if we want to talk about other budget shifts and stuff like that. Because under the guise of this $75,000, I don't think it's fair to start moving all sorts of things around just because people who might want to discuss it aren't here.
I also don't think it's fair to take the remaining 75,000 for the rest of the city. So I want to
Well,
make
whether
sure
it's your district or Mr. Galvin's district or Councilwoman Steril district or Mr. Bienem's district, it's part of the city of North Miami. And you know what? It bothers me each time you guys
No, not-
holding on to that little district
No,
like it's all
no.
that matters.
It was you guys.
We're talking
it was-
about the entire
No,
city.
it was you guys who took $1.5 million of the Biscayne Landing funds and gave it all over. to
You're
Mr.
right. You
to
are
District
right.
3.
You are right.
So don't keep taking money. The
You are
little bit
right.
of remaining.
All we're saying it's like for all the parks in North Miami,
don't take that
including the
remaining-
Enchanted Forest, including the Pepper Park, including wherever there's park where
can use-
people walk
You can use
or
CRA
people
money for
do
that.
fitness.
I absolutely refuse to
And
give
we're
up
not
that
going to
remaining
do sidewalk
75,000.
with that money, as Mr. Galvin said. I totally agree with him.
So where is the money for the east side that is not in the CRA? There is no money allocated, and now you want to take the last little bit of money and spend it on the entire city, and that was Biscayne Landing money.
Because you represent the city too, Madam
I
Keys.
I do.
You do represent the city
That's
as
why I
well.
voted for $1.5 million for the entire city and not one district, but that got taken away. So I'm not going to budge on this. I'm not going to vote if this remaining 75,000 is going to just be given away. I want to keep that for any Bay Shore Park improvements that aren't, I mean, we have
Anyway.
a
Madam Mayor, may I
600,000.
make a friendly suggestion?
Go ahead.
That we vote on the 75,000 for the feasibility study tonight, and then bring back the 75,000 additional at the next meeting, so we can officially have it advertised, codified, and then vote on it then and there, whether or not we want to use that for exercise equipment. I'm
We
in
need
favor
money
of
for
it.
the exercise
No,
equipment.
and
we really
I'm
do.
actually in agreement with you, but since that's not in the agenda tonight, in fairness, I always like to have things advertised before we vote on them.
For the equipment, we voted on it since we did the budget. It
But
was voted on already.
It was just, it's a friendly suggestion as the maker of the motion that we move the first 75 tonight, and in 2 weeks come back on the other 75. I don't think that 2 weeks will make that big of a difference, but at least then we'll have advertised it to everybody, and there'll be no doubt that we, if we voted in favor, that we wanted that 75 remaining to go toward parks equipment.
Okay. Or in the meantime, can you bring some other suggestion as the alternative where we can get the money for those equipments, because they were supposed to be there a long time already?
Yeah, we did check the budget and read the report. It was $10,000, and it was Councilman Galvin that made that. So we did put it in that one park. I will find out what the cost is for all the parks, especially where there's heavy pedestrians, and we'll come back with that at a later date. But I mean, I would like to hold the 75,000 just in case there's a budget overrun someplace.
Okay, so the motion, we don't have a motion.
My motion
we
was
do-
for the $75,000 for the feasibility
We have a
study.
motion and a second, Mayor, and the motion was just that to approve the
Okay.
$75,000 for the feasibility study. It was
Okay.
moved by Vice Mayor Galvin, and it was seconded by Your Honor. I mean,
Roll
the
call.
Mayor. Mayor Thundro,
Yes.
Councilman Bieneme,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril, Vice Mayor Galvin.
Yes.
Item passes 5-0. Tab K, Discussion regarding the December 10, 2013 council resolution which provided for the uniform method of collecting non-ad valorem special assessments levied for the cost of providing residential solid waste collection and disposal services, as well as residential and commercial stormwater services and facilities beginning on October 1st, 2014.
That's your tab K.
That was tab K, that's correct.
And can I make a motion to table that item?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
To continue it to the next meeting, Councilman, or to just table it permanently?
I will try to get some more information and bring it back
Okay.
at a later date.
I'll second the motion to table.
Mayor? Roll call?
No, there's no discussion.
Just
No,
you can record a no or however you
Yeah,
want to.
so we got a motion to table and a second, so you can say anyone wishes to yes or no.
To do what?
Because you got to vote. It's the
Mr. Manager, haven't you started already the arrangements with the county in this? I think we should discuss it tonight.
okay. So
Yes, we've started the process.
There's a motion on the table to table this. I seconded it. So can we vote on that? And if it fails, we can then.
You have to vote on the current motion on the table, and then someone else can make another motion to discuss the item.
unless Banner May revokes his
unless
motion,
he-
right?
Well, but no, but his.
I have the motion
is
to table.
Okay, and then you second that motion. How do you
So
want to
you need
proceed,
to
Mayor?
you need a vote, Mayor.
You want me to roll call vote or?
No? Anybody wishes to record a nay? Nay. I said nay.
Okay, so the motion, Banner May's motion passed 4-1.
So it's tabled.
It's tabled.
Right.
It's
okay. You know, anytime. But I think, we should have discussed it today and get over with.
Okay, motion, Banner May.
Council report, Madam Keys.
Galvin.
No report.
Mr. Galvin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to let everybody know that the memorial service for Ron Wellsant, the former executive director of the North Miami Chamber of Commerce, will be held this Thursday morning at 11 a.m. at Temple Beth Moshe. It'll be a non-denominational service, but it's an opportunity for the North Miami community to come out and say thank you to Ron, who tragically passed, as you know, a few weeks ago. And so if you're able to come to Ron Wellsant's memorial service, again, that's this Thursday, February the 27th at 11 a.m. at Temple Beth Moshe.
Thank you.
And the only other thing I have is actually it was a suggestion from somebody in the public that I passed along to the manager, and I want to just reiterate it again because it actually came from two different people. The idea of a code hotline, a phone number that people can call. I shouldn't call it a code hotline, a housing hotline, that when people are out there and they're living in squalor and they're afraid to come forward because landlords can. We've got to teach the councilwoman how to set her phone on silent.
I think District 2 has that problem.
But a housing hotline that residents can call, even if it's anonymously, and report what's happening in their building. Maybe there's a phone number that we're not using here at City Hall that could be just, dusted off and used. And if we do find such a phone number, then maybe put it in a flyer, a palm card, put it on bus benches, another resident suggested to me this week, so that people who are surrounded by these horrible conditions have an outlet to take their concern. So I wanted to bring that forward again and ask once again that we find a phone number for a housing hotline, if as long as council thinks that's a cool idea.
That's cool.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all I've got.
Councilwoman Steele.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank staff through City Manager Dr. Claude and her staff that she supervised for a very nice workshop, although I didn't have a chance last council meeting to advertise it, but it was very well attended. Again, thank you so much.
Mr. Bien-Aimé?
No reports, Madam Mayor.
I would take the opportunity to once again congratulate staff. They've been working nonstop, especially to make that Black History Month a success. And I think you guys are wonderful, wonderful. I'm so proud. And I think we are the only city who celebrate Black history the way that we did this year. And I'd like to commend all of you. Great job. Yes. And I'm taking this opportunity to invite you on February the 26th, which is next Wednesday. It is the Black... It's tomorrow. Next Wednesday, that's tomorrow, okay. It's a family night event at the North Miami Public Library starting at 6 p.m. We're going to unveiling of a peace flag in the wind exhibit with Mocha teens and artists. And most of the council people have a flower that is attached. And also on Thursday, Black History Month networking for a cause event at Johnson & Wales University starting at 6 p.m. The donation is $20 per person, and all the proceeds to benefits the North Miami Educational Foundation in support of scholarship to a high school senior in North Miami. Visit the website, of course, all the updates of Black History event. It's there. It's the shortest month, but I think it's the month where most of our employees have been more busy. I am inviting you on Paris en Thème. It's a French musical by the French group De Temps en Temps. They are in South Florida this month, and they have promised last time they were in South Florida, they would stop and make a presentation for us in the city of North Miami. It's by invitation. We have a VIP cocktail starting at 2 p.m. and the play will start at 3. It's a 1 hour and 15 minutes musical. Although it's a French play, it's not in French. I mean, music, dance, and they'll start with the history of the French Revolution to the United States, what had happened, and so on and so forth. It's a beautiful play. I've seen it before, and I think it's worth sharing. So those of you who would like to attend, Pam, Katya, they have tickets. And I'm hoping that most of you here will be there. It's always important to be cultured. There's nothing like culture. And limitations come from lack of cultures, of course. What else do we have? Oh, yeah. We have that information fair on Friday, March 7, between 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the JCC, which is located at 1525 Northwest 135th Street. It's a Florida event. You will see Affordable Healthcare Act services and housing purchasing, job opportunity. We will do it. The City of North Miami is doing it in collaboration with the CRA and County Commissioner District 2 Jean Monet's team and the Olita partners, if they're still there, and Miami-Dade County Public School. So please, we are asking you to let your constituents know this event that will take place on March 7th, 2013, and you're all welcome to participate. And I have some board nomination. Mr. Clerk, you want to do it, or should I do it? You do it during your report. So this is your turn. That's all for that. Complete my report for now.
Very good. And then we have elections. All right, real quick, just to give you a quick update. Our office sent our second annual newsletter to the residents of North Miami, and it was a major, major hit. I was flooded with phone calls. Our office was flooded with phone calls, and I'm appreciative that members of the community appreciated our office.
We didn't get it, but
you guys
one
probably
thing.
gonna get it soon.
Can I make a suggestion?
Of course, Mayor.
When you have constituents that are trying to trigger you, you give them the low way by responding the same way they do, and I don't think it's right. I think you should,
I'll
don't do
punish
like
people
me.
who try to punish
Do
me.
not become like me.
And I want to be like you, Mayor.
Okay.
But for what it's worth, for example, we had a couple of constituents that came to our meeting today. One is still here. This was her first time she received the, and I wanted to acknowledge her, and that's the goal here. And so that went out. And by the way, someone had a question regarding the cost. Before I was here, we used to spend about $4,000 every month to send notices via the Miami Herald. It cost us a little over $4,000 to send that notice to the entire city, and it lists all the council meetings for the entire year. It was very, very, very cost effective, and we're proud, and I'm happy that the vast majority of you enjoyed it. Now, we have a vice mayor election and the boards. So I'm going to go ahead and do the board appointments first and then the mayor's election, the vice mayor's election. So Mayor Thundra would like to appoint Vasti Dorvell as an alternate to the Board of Adjustment. She would like to appoint Maria Marciques to the Nuisance Abatement Board and Justin Jones to the Library Board. All of which we received their applications, and they all do in fact live in the city of North Miami. May I have a motion to approve her appointment?
Second.
So it was moved by Mayor Thundro, second by Galvin. Anyone wishes to record a no? Item passes 5-0. Those individuals will be informed that they were appointed to this board. Now, Councilman Bieneme would like to appoint Mary C. Irvin to the Nuisance Abatement Board. May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion was made by Thunder, moved by Galvin. Anyone wishes to record a no? Item passes 5-0. And Councilwoman Sterid would like to appoint Dr. Pastor Enoch Millian to the Nuisance Abatement Board. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
It was moved by Mayor Thundo, seconded by?
Second.
It's by Galvin. Anyone who wishes to record a no? Item passes 5-0. And last but not least?
Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, before you do that.
Okay.
I know that Eddie Moliner has been trying to get on the Quality Education Board for a while, and that board has been hamstrung because it doesn't have a quorum, because it doesn't have enough members. Can we bring Mr. Moliner's name in case anybody wants to?
Yeah, everyone got the application, and we don't have anyone who wants to appoint them to the Quality Education Board now. So that's where we're at. Unless someone wants to appoint them, but at this moment, I would recommend that Eduardo would introduce himself to all the council members, like Mr. Dorvell did, and perhaps he can get an appointment. But that's the problem. No one knows him, so he can come by and introduce himself to the council members. And
Right, we don't know who he is.
Okay. Unless you can convince one of them to appoint.
Yeah, he's a school teacher who lives in Keystone, who I think just general conversation amongst their board members, I forget that whole story. I think he might have been at a meeting or something like that. Long story short, I know that he had submitted the application because we had it, and we forgot to bring it up last time. So I was just trying to bring it up in case anybody wanted to nominate him.
See, the importance in the board is that when we appoint people, they have to be in a position to carry our vision. We don't want to appoint people just to fill out vacancy, but to ensure that that person will carry, the vision of whoever is nominating he or her. So I think it's a good thing, for the person who wants to be appointed to, get acquainted with any of the board members, so that way we can have a good feel of that person.
He's assistant principal for community education. So we need a vision, but right now we don't have any vision because we don't have any members of the board.
Well,
we don't have a quorum.
Let's encourage Mr. Moliner to reach out to council members between now and the next meeting, and maybe somebody will want to nominate him.
Very good.
Okay, so now according to your resolution, to your laws, you have to have vice mayor elections today. And so do I have any motions or seconds?
I'd like to nominate Councilman Philip Bieneme for the position of vice mayor for the next 6 months.
Okay, may I have a second?
I second that.
Anyone wish it? Okay, so the motion was made by Vice Mayor Galvin to appoint Councilman Bieneme as vice mayor. It was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. Anyone wishes to record a no?
I do.
Item
It's too
passes.
early.
Item passes 4-1. Congratulations, Councilman. You are now the vice mayor. And I'm done with my report.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Is there any way we can go back to rotation, which is a fair thing?
You can, but that's something you guys, that's outside my jurisdiction. So it's
Madam
something
Attorney,
you guys
how do
would
we-
have to
Put it
do.
on the agenda.
You have to
Okay.
put it on the agenda. And
Can I request we put that on the agenda so the next time this comes up, we do rotation?
Yeah, so it's in your ordinance
But I'd
currently
like
that it's
to,
by vote of council.
so can we bring it up on an agenda item to amend our ordinance that we go back to rotation? We have a different council, maybe.
Hold on. Let me make sure it's ordinance and not your charter, because I see it in my
No,
mind.
they changed it about a year or so ago. I'd like to see if this council would,
It may have been the charter. Hold
It's
on.
in the charter.
I see it in my mind's eye, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it is in 2 seconds. It is in your charter, section 13. The vice mayor shall be elected from among the council members. That's in your charter. So in order for to change that, you would have to have a charter amendment that goes before the voters.
Okay.
Mr. Clerk, you done with your report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Madam City Attorney.
None for me, thank you.
Oh, before you go, no, don't say none.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a report now.
Right. We were supposed to bring on the table we were talking about the board members, the expiration of the members. I believe that the members that have been appointed should expire as whoever appointed them is no longer in office. You understand?
So if Councilman Blinn had appointed somebody and their term runs up now, you're saying they're off and they have to be put on by somebody else?
Exactly.
Okay. Is that for
Does
all?
that make sense?
It totally makes sense to me.
Is that for all of the boards and committees?
All of them.
Okay, so what that would require, because most of your boards or committees was created by ordinance, right? So you have a chapter that discusses the charter board, for example, how it was created, what their function and duties are, and how one can be removed. So then that section would have to be amended. Your citizen advisory board is created by ordinance, and so then that ordinance would have to be amended. So we would have to go through each of the ordinances to change how one gets removed from their respective board. So we can certainly bring that to you first and second readings if that's what the
Right, because
council desires.
it doesn't serve the purpose. We just said the board members should reflect our vision. They are here to represent us. What good is for somebody who sits there, who does not represent anybody here, and is making decision for the city? It does not make any sense to me.
And I will make one recommendation. As opposed to how it is right now, where every single board have their own little weird link, I would make it one blatant ordinance that says every board, like your vision, just make it blatant for all the board members,
Right.
so that every time there's a new council, you can you understand? Instead of because every board have their different term limits, and
It's crazy.
May I also make another suggestion along those lines, Madam Mayor? Each board has a different condition for removal of its members. For instance, if a member just stops showing up after a year, on some boards, if they didn't actually resign or we don't actually replace them, they're still on the board. I think that's one of the problems Quality Education Board is having. They have people who were appointed who've
And
never
the
showed
library
up,
board too.
and they can't consider them off the board to fill the spot, and then they can't have a quorum, so they can't do and it's just this feed. So if we could make that blanket the same for every board, that if you miss 3, you're automatically off, or whatever it's going to be, so that's clear.
Right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thanks. And Madam Attorney, I don't know if it's you or me, we were supposed to bring up the HLA Gala, where the city of North Miami is going to be honored or recognized. When is the date?
That was for you.
Oh, that was for me to do, okay.
Yes.
I missed that one. How much is the table?
I believe Katia has the information.
And I'm asking all the board members to be there on that day because the city, not any individual, the city, because it's our
What's the date?
80th year, is going to be honored.
I used to be a member.
Okay. The Haitian Lawyers Association?
It's Saturday,
How in the world
March.
did you get there?
Pardon me?
You changed your citizenship?
You don't have to be a Haitian to be on that board.
And the Haitian Lawyers Association?
No, I was many, many years ago.
Gotta talk to these people.
The event is Saturday, March the 15th at 7 p.m. on Brickell.
You have it. Okay. Please, everybody make a note for us to be there. We don't want to be recognized. $1,200 for the table. So I would make a motion for us to purchase the table and for every single member to be present.
I'll second it.
Whatever, if we don't, if
Your
we're not
council
gonna be
membership is
there.
revoked.
It's revoked
Revoked. That's what I thought.
for one council meeting.
Can I have it for two?
No, only one. Don't push it. Mr. Clerk.
We have a motion to purchase a table for the HLA event of 1,200. We have a motion from Dundro, seconded by Galvin. Anyone who wishes to record a no? Item passes 5-0.
Madam Deputy City Manager, you have any report? No, you never do. There's no more hurricane. You need to start thinking in case of a snowstorm in South Florida, what do we do?
I know, well, that's ridiculous.
Mr. Manager, report, please.
Yes, very quickly, at the next council meeting, we will be giving a update on our capital improvement plan. But we also want to add that staff has been working very hard. I want to thank Tanya Sejour and, of course, everyone without naming names. We have been meeting with possible developers downtown, putting sellers with buyers.
Yep.
So we're doing a very good job in having a presentation. We will be providing mayor and council with a category for you all to give us recommended names so that they would be at the next council meeting to choose this 15-panel board. The categories will be for downtown, a series of other categories recommended by the consultants, and that would be on the next agenda. So we'll get that category to you.
You're going to give
within
each
the
person
next day.
the right to give to nominate 2 board members?
The consultant recommends 15, so whatever desire.
Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, and I
Yes,
get to
15.
nominate 7.
Well,
2, 7.
yeah, it will get done, but because it's under, staff will be controlling it with the consultants, so it won't be like your other boards, but it's whatever the desire of the council would be, how many you want to have, how many you want to pick from.
We just need a group of people that are productive, that are not going to go and talk without working. People that really concerned for the downtown, I believe.
So
while you're doing that, may I make another suggestion? I've got all sorts of suggestions tonight. Can you just sort of maybe tuck in the back of the mental filing cabinet as you're looking for developers or buyers? If you find any multi-family buyers out there who might want to buy and rehab some of this stock, it would be nice to get some of the slumlords out and get some people in who are really going to care about investing in their building.
We just have not to renew their licenses to rent. They're going to have to go.
We have,
of course we can.
Well, in theory, if you're finding a developer out there who wants to buy commercial property, they could buy multifamily properties as well and convert them into.
yeah, I would say we have done that.
The slumlords, not landlords, the slumlords.
I don't believe Councilman Galvin's suggestion is how to kick people out. I think he's saying how
No,
to develop and redevelop.
People who would like to purchase those buildings that have good intentions in respecting the tenants. That's what he said. We're not talking about kicking anybody out.
Not at all. No,
Did
no,
you?
no.
You did not.
No.
No, he did not say that. I didn't hear it. And I will deny it.
I also like to thank the police department, Chief Burgess and our Sharon Ragunan and Assistant Chief Jariga for their efforts in putting together these sweeps. We have several apartment buildings in the city which have liens over several hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we'll continue those efforts and with those sweeps, but I just want to thank them for their efforts. And that's all of our report.
Good. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Hey, Malim, I owe you dinner. It's only 10 o'clock.
Ciao, everybody.